Hi there, my name is Marina, and I'm from California Studios. I'm part of the two-person team making a game called Iron Roads, which you can see right now on screen. And we thought we'd make this short video to show you what it's all about and any recent updates that we've made. So with me I've got Duncan, who's going to talk to you about what Iron Roads is about, first of all.
Hi. So you can see on the screen it's a top-down 2D train management game, and you can see the trains wandering in here, and if I zoom out you can see more of an island. So this is one of the scenarios. It's on Horseshoe Island, which has got this narrow choke point at the right hand side. So because it's a scenario, you get contracts that you can follow. So you can see this one here is connect Calico Shack with Neptunia. And I'm just going to activate it, and then you see it pops down here. So this just gives you a bit of story content and some kind of guidance in the scenarios. There is other modes we'll come to later. So I just put down a train platform there, and now I'm going to draw down some tracks here, and I'm just going to connect them on to the tracks we already have. And then I'm just going to set a one-way there so the trains know which way to go. And now just gonna put a tunnel from the other one all the way up there, and do the same again. Put a one-way on. So now the trains will go that way. So now that you can see now I've added a platform at Neptunia and some tracks to connect it. I'm going to come in here, add a service. So service is a set of trains serving towns, a route if you like. And I've added Neptunia and Calico Shack, done. And I'm going to buy a train. So I'm going to buy a fast one, just 4 carriages because I've got a short platform now. Confirm that. If I go and look for it, the train's here. So you can see the train now is at Calico Shack, filling up with passengers. And actually you can see it's in a jam.
Struggling, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so when you tight corners slow trains down. So I'm just going to do that to put in a wider corner, I think's the word. So trains can go around it a bit faster. And anyway, in the time I did that, you can see it's arrived here, dropped its first passenger at Neptunia, and we've completed the contract.
So the trains change color to show you which station they're headed to, is that right?
Yeah, you can see the trains heading in here are all dark blue because Calico Shack's color-coded dark blue.
Ooh, let's see it go around the oh, that's much more satisfying, isn't it?
Yeah. And yeah, it's yellow now. And yeah, they move fast around that corner and they don't jam up. And really that's quite a lot of the gameplay really with Iron Roads is improving. You know, you follow some contracts to start, set up a basic service between all the towns, and then you try and make more and more and grow your service and grow the passengers and grow your business. And as you do that, things keep going a bit wrong, and then you fix that.
So we can see on the top right, maybe can you explain what that on-time percentage is about?
Oh, top right here. Yeah, so that's the number of passengers on time. So if you go to, say, Calico Shack to Neptunia. So actually this is the town screen for Calico Shack, so it shows you a little bit of information. You can see 17 people have arrived in the last hour and 17 are on time. If you look in specific on the Calico Shack to Neptunia screen, it shows you the amount of money you get from it. Target travel time is 83 minutes, so that's kind of set when making the scenario. And the average travel time at the moment is 16.9 minutes, which means everyone on that one is on time.
So it's better than the target in this case?
Yeah, hence, yeah.
Oh, mine never are like that. Okay.
And then this here shows the hourly on time graph. And you can see, you know, it's actually coming down, which happens quite a bit as you put your first trains in, the passengers grow, and then actually, you know, things get less and less on time until you sort it out.
So to clarify, when you say the passengers grow, it's because the towns are growing as a result of the success of which you're bringing them.
Yeah, so you get more passengers, and then so for example, here actually you can see there's 300 minutes over 69, despite them being right next to each other. So that's what's giving us the bad times.
And you can actually see how long it takes for a town to grow. Is that right? So you can keep an eye on that.
Yeah, so if you look at Midsummer Circus here, it'll tell you the town will grow when there are 8 on-time arrivals per hour. So each tile is another on-time arrival per hour.
So it's just grown by a tile right there. Okay.
Yeah. We essentially the hour ticked by, and you had enough people on time, and now so there's a bit of a cooldown, so things don't grow too fast. And then next one will be at 9. Eventually, after this is a fairly quick, recently started game, but pretty soon it'll settle down. And yeah, you can see we're all running nicely around the corner now.
So what are we looking at now?
Yeah, so let me just unpause actually. This is a different save game I loaded. This is the Desert Dew scenario. And you can see, let me just close the contracts for now. You can see this is a desert island this time. And in most cases, all of the buildings are shuttered. Oops, sorry.
Oh, you're not supposed to see that.
Yeah, no, it's a development copy. We're still finishing bits of it. And essentially what your point of this scenario is to build this Desert Dew drink. Yara gets in contact with you and asks for your help. And, you know, she wants to restart this Desert Dew drink, and you are, I guess, providing the logistics to move stuff between factories. So you can see that the first contract's just completed, and as you do that you get a bunch more contracts, and probably most importantly you get the, let me just close that, it's now revealed the next step in your chain. So you've got kind of a long multi-chain cargo scenario here. So the next thing to do is to, I'll just start doing this, is to build a new line over to the recently revealed syrup factory, where you mix the next stage of your drink. So I'm not too far away.
So you were mentioning that it's a cargo holding scenario, but are there any passengers as well?
Yeah, so in the first version of this scenario, we actually didn't have any passengers, but I think we realised that passengers are one of our favourite bits of the game. So this is an adjusted version of it. We're still very much pre-release. I don't think we've mentioned that right now, but we're looking at working towards early access, but we're definitely not there yet.
Because we noticed something, I thought it was something interesting, that if you just hold cargo, because if say you have to take coconuts from there to the syrup factory, the other half of the journey is made empty, right, where the train returns to the coconuts, and that just for us, we thought it made it a little bit boring.
Yeah,
as a I don't know, or it just wasn't quite working. Maybe boring is a bit of a harsh word to use, but so can you explain how the factory workers link up?
Yeah, so that's a good point. I've forgotten to do that. As Marina says, like, I think it's just it was a bit simpler just moving cargo around, and I guess it didn't work for Iron Roads. So here we have Syrup as Rest. So these are the workers for the syrup factory that we're just trying to restore now. There's a lot more detail in Yara's contracts, but I'm just going to do the same as I did before and set up a quick service between the two. Add Syrup as Rest and add Syrup Factory. Done by train. Now, because it's disconnected to everything else, I can just use whatever train I like, and because it's a short route, this particular train here loads very quickly and unloads very quickly and carries more people, but then is actually quite a slow train, as opposed to longer distance services. You don't care about the loading time so much as the moving time. So yeah, so let me just have a look.
It's quite a lot of tasks for you there, yeah.
Yeah, it's got quite a lot of bits. So the first bit is to connect the coconut processing, and the next one is to bring the workers in. So it'll only run the processing as long as you've got workers. So it needs all of these ingredients here, and then it needs the workers. So you can see these are the waiting people, and this is the recipe. So the next step, I'm just going to set this up while I talk, is to add some date palms. Bring some date palms. Sorry, my mouse went a bit wrong there.
just to comment there, because I notice you keep saying people, but actually there are no people in Iron Roads.
Yeah, I guess you're more the writer for this, so maybe you're...
yeah, this kind of thing that I'm a bit hyper-conscious of. So the passengers, as you can maybe make out from the symbols, are different animals, basically, and that's quite sort of the story in Iron Roads, that it is a post-human world, and you have these little villages. Different animals stayed in these little villages after the humans left. And it's kind of your job to connect them up together, but without destroying everything that was keeping things ticking over. So it's also part of your contracts, part of your gameplay, but maybe we'll go into that either in another video or later on in this one. What do you think?
Yeah. Okay, so I've hooked up the next one there, so that should tick that pretty quickly. We've got a little flow chart that we put in here to show you what's happening. So I'm just going to put the last of those in now. So these are kind of sources of agave. That's, I'll be honest, a little bug that just popped up there. If I'm totally truthful about it. So yeah, I'm building a bridge over here. So obviously you can build regular tracks, you can build tunnels, bridges. They've all got slightly different properties in that bridges you can build over water, tunnels you can build under towns. Although we don't have too many towns here, when they grow in a more passenger oriented scenario, it can get in the way a bit. And then I'm just going to add agave on there, sorry.
And hopefully we'll be on our way to making desert dew in no time.
In syrup, yeah.
Well, making some syrup.
I'm just fast forwarding now, so
this is this scenario doesn't have that space constraint that some other scenarios have, and that's part of the. It's a bit more liberating that you can be a bit more creative with your tracks.
Yeah, something else we found is, so actually I'm just going to exit this very briefly to show a different scenario, is Mistra, which is a new scenario we're working on. But in this scenario, rather than, it's a very, very small map, and you can barely build anywhere because it's full of ruins, which kind of forces you when you're playing the game to try and find a way to fit your tracks around it, really. So it's a very different one. So I think actually that this shows that we've not got too many scenarios in yet, but the idea is they're all hand-authored, very, very specifically designed to bring out different aspects of the gameplay. Exactly.
And they tell you a bit more about the lore that I was mentioning, if that's kind of thing that you enjoy.
Yeah.
Maybe before we move on, we can just quickly talk about the music in Iron Roads.
Yeah, I think for that, it's best to go back to the save game we had. So we've tried to take let me just clear the errors for now. We've tried to take a slightly different approach to, I'm just going to turn it on actually, music here, where the sounds generated from your game. So as you see this train coming here, as every passenger loads or unloads, you should hear a beep. And they all kind of should work together to kind of, form a nice harmony. So if I speed the game up, there would obviously be a lot more beeps and you'd be able to hear a lot more going on. And then the second part of that is when you complete a contract, I'm just going to go to my debug menu to cheat and immediately complete the contract. Then you should start to hear, over all the top of that, you should start to hear a melody. So I've just turned it off again now. So yeah, so that's how the kind of music works in the game.
That's really cool. So we talked about the scenarios. Maybe we can talk about the other modes of play in Iron Roads.
Yeah. So we have two other modes. One mode is challenge mode, which is the most similar to scenarios. Most of the scenarios have an equivalent challenge, which is you just get a fixed amount of time and you have to transport as many passengers, or for the desert dew challenge, for example, you have to produce as much desert dew as possible. The horseshoe version of it, it's a bit larger and you get a bit longer. And then we have a weekly challenge where, you know, it's just randomly generated, similar to in the endless mode that we'll come back to.
Yeah, maybe we can show the endless mode.
Yeah, yeah. So endless mode is our name for the kind of level generator part of it. So I've still got a lot of work to do on the UI here. It's a bit programmer art still, and Marina hasn't had a chance to fix my sins.
You're very kind.
But yeah, so this number up here is just a seed. And then, yeah, I've got power on, Digtown on. Let me start. So it's just going to generate now for us. And here we go. We've made this somewhat large map. I'm going to clear all the errors.
And maybe we can talk about, again, this will be updated. This is very work in progress, but maybe, Duncan, you can start by explaining what the point is and what the player objectives are in endless mode, and then you can explain what that power note is about.
Yeah, the player objectives are really, I think, whatever you want them to be. So the initial screen we had showed a bunch of options that we will leave in there. You will always be free to you know, play it as you wish with things turned on. But kind of the more unique aspect of it, I've got what I think will probably be the default options turned on right now, and I'm just going to get going. And part of this is we do want to have cargo and passengers both available. And part of the way we thought we'd do that in endless mode is through power. Now, up here you can see stored power equal. This is, again, Marina hasn't. Well, actually, no, she has. I've yet to implement the
UI,
the art and the UI for it. But essentially, if I add this, and then I just need to go and find out what town that is up there. Sorry, practice them all very well. Cranberry Farm. So that's a farm generating, I guess, biomass.
Ignore that it says Appleberry, it's just not been updated as well. So.
Yeah, no. So that's one thing you can immediately see in endless mode is when I went to buy a train, we've only got one train available, and then you would have contracts to unlock your trains. So just for my own convenience, I'm just going to go through those, and now we should have more trains available. Because right now this is kind of your starter train, just 2 units, very slow. Okay, and so Appleberry Farm is there, and you can see production is currently paused due to insufficient workers from Tremblay Stadium. So up here you've got, so the farm needs workers to generate biomass for you to burn, which will then power your trains. So the idea is to have a nice resource chain like that, and you know, you can't just run trains, you have to power the trains you run, and for that you'll have to have other trains carrying that power, and to get the power to the power station you'll need it generated by workers, and so on and so on. So we wanted to have a nice system like that, really. Well, some people might find it a nightmare, but I think it seems rather fun.
What happens if you don't power your trains?
They run really, really slowly. It's a bit too punishing if they actually don't do anything.
So you can kind of ignore, well, you can set the settings to have power off at the start if you don't want to partake in the powering your trains.
Yeah.
But you can also ostensibly ignore power, not set up your trains to power up.
Yeah, you can do that, or they just run really
slow,
slowly, yeah.
So you won't really want to do that.
Actually, one thing, sorry, I think we forgot to mention earlier, as you can see here, this is a non-stop zone. So this is another part of Iron Roads, as we find that signals aren't always easiest to understand for new players. Many people like them, some people don't. And we might add them as an option later, but we showed you the one-way zones earlier. The other part of that then is you have these non-stop zones, which only one train will enter at a time. But yeah, now you can see we've got a pile of this 6 here is biomass at here, and I am just going to get rid of this train now. I have a better option, so I'm going to jump to the server, sell it, and buy something a lot quicker because we don't have too long. And then you can see that there. If I speed it, so when I did that, I pressed the keyboard button to speed it up. It's now going to start picking up the biomass, and you can see the stored power going down here. Again, that'll be replaced by something a lot more attractive by the time people are playing it. And then that will go and dump the power. And when it does that, it dumps more fuel on the power station that can be burnt to power your trains.
I noticed when you go back to the farm that you went around the fields, but is that on purpose?
Yeah, so I guess narratively something we've always been interested in is the idea of not just development, but I guess kind of constrained development, or the effects of your development on it. I think in a really early version I played it, and we turned this nice beautiful green world that you're drawn into just covered in train tracks, and kind of isn't necessarily a message that I think that's always the best, and you need to somehow balance the two. And by investigating that, we came across some mechanics we rather liked. So here we've got these fields. So if I plow through a field, I will get a warning up here, a rather ugly sprite underneath of fish heads and nuclear waste, because that's what happens when you go over a field. And also, appleberry will now produce less biomass. And if I were to go over, not appleberry, that's cranberry, I really need to replace that art. If I just destroy them all wantonly like that, it won't actually produce any more biomass now. So now you've got a problem because you've ploughed through all of the fields. How do you actually power your trains? Now, in this case, to make it not too punishing, there's actually a couple more farms around the map. And on top of that, although it's not implemented right now,
there is an alternative source of power.
Yeah, mole mines down here, which would then provide coal, essentially. And part of the thought with that is that you can choose either biomass or coal to power your system. It'll be a lot easier if you were to use... Oh, no, it's not coal. Sorry, you're shaking your head. Sorry, I should let you...
No. I mean, it is what the equivalent of coal is, but because, as I explained earlier, we're in a post-human world, basically the moles, that's why it's mole mines, are trying to use human detritus like kitchen sinks and stuff like that, but essentially dirty fuel and non-renewable fuel that they're excavating. But it is a source of fuel, and unlike the farms, there is no way to deplete it.
Yeah, but there again, we wanted to do this kind of in a gameplay sense. We were looking, the reason we really picked on that is that, okay, we'd have to play far too much right now, but it'll then, if you use these dirty fuels, you will start to get environmental effects such as rising sea levels, which might then wipe out some of your tracks. But we don't have this as, we're not saying you should do one or you should... But,
it's about the balance.
It's about the balance, and it's about giving you the choice. But we found it an interesting kind of way of blending some narrative and gameplay together.
That's brilliant. Right, so what are we looking at now?
Okay, this is the final mode, the challenge mode. So this is a different scenario. Another one, this is the Forgotten Valley challenge, which is drawn from the Forgotten Valley scenario. Which is kind of a smallish one, just an early 4 towns, easy to start scenario. And yeah, the point of this mode, actually I'm going to pause it, is you get given some sort of time-bound challenge. So you have 4 days, 21 hours in game left, and you've got to transport as many passengers as you can. And you can see the overall high scores here. So the highest overall is someone's managed 71,098. The highest by one of us developers is 29,000, which I think just demonstrates how bad we are at playing our own game.
That is for shame. For shame.
And the question marks against you is just because I haven't linked this copy here to my account yet, just because it's a development copy. So yeah, it just gives you a chance to really, I guess, try and perfect the mechanics. Well, perfect in one sense, really, like just how many people can you move as quickly and efficiently as possible.
I think it's fun because it's sort of a quickish game. It's time bound. I find this really, really fun, to be honest.
Yeah, I find myself thinking about it a lot, and like what's the the best thing to do, because for a lot of Iron Roads it's really play any way you like, as we're saying, you know, you have these options that you can try and balance things, but you really get the choice of how to play. But here I guess there is actually a correct way. And
it's funny that you were playing on paused, which I do as well, because once you're in real time the clock is running,
yeah,
at least you can stop time and cheat in that way, which is funny to see you do that as well.
Yeah.
Well, that's challenge mode. I don't think we have a hope to ever beat that high score, Duncan, but that's okay. I guess the challenge out there is if anyone out there can beat that player high score in the near future. And all the different maps have their own high score, is that right?
Yeah, so the different scenarios we've built all currently have an associated challenge. And they all have a separate high score. And then there's a weekly challenge, or fortnightly challenge. You can see I destroyed a bush there.
And the fortnightly challenge is basically a new randomly generated map. So it's basically new content and the new challenge every fortnight.
Yeah, all there in the demo. Which
actually brings me to my next question. So if people have watched this far, thank you very much. You are our heroes. But also, if hopefully that's piqued your interest in Iron Road, how can you play right now, bearing in mind it's not released yet?
Yeah, so we've got a demo up in Steam. Anyone can just play that. So that's got Forgotten Valley, essentially one scenario, the associated challenge, and a fortnightly challenge. It doesn't have endless or anything in it. And that's up on Steam, so if you, for desktop, can do that. We're also actually, although Steam will be released and go to early access hopefully this year, we do have a mobile version of this as well, which is not as developed, but still there's quite a lot of people out there playing and doing these challenges on mobile. So for that you'd have to drop by our Discord and ask us, because we can't, you know, distribute. There's no kind of demo equivalent there really. But yeah, anyone's welcome really. We'd love to hear any thoughts anyone has really. It's been really useful to us so far to get feedback.
Yeah, we're still very open for any ideas or thoughts that you may have. And even requests. Hopefully people who have sent in their feedback will have seen that we have incorporated a lot of the ideas as well into the game. And yeah, so if you want to play test as well, maybe we can talk about that.
On mobile? Yeah, so iOS is Test Flight and Android is Google Play. So you just need to drop by and kind of, it's slightly different on each one. So if you just drop by and say hello and say you want to test it, just let me know.
Yep. And maybe the other thing is, if you're a streamer and would like to stream, okay, obviously you can use the demo, but if you want to get in touch with us, we can have a chat as well.
Yep. Yeah, we're just starting that sort of stuff now as we head to early access.
Yeah. So I don't know if there's anything else from your side, Duncan, but again, if you've watched this far, thank you so much for supporting us, for your interest in Iron Roads, and thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you on our next update.
Thank you.